Welcome to the weight room.
Welcome back, and we have a great episode today. The labeling, the nutrition facts, and all that good stuff. And it's a crazy world out there because with one simple package, you have something that can tell two very different stories.
I think we've said this before, but just understanding what you're putting in your body and understanding the back of a food label makes the world of a difference.
And understanding that the front could be pretty much a big misconception and maybe even a big lie based on,
Absolutely
how you see that. It's just a bunch of the front is just a bunch of marketing tools, and it's the selling of the product. And there's nothing wrong with trying to attract people to your products, but they definitely have maybe somewhat crossed a line into, deception.
Just be a knowledgeable consumer, be aware
Informed,
as a consumer,
yes.
An informed consumer, yeah. So let's just jump right into it and talk about food labels.
Yeah, so obviously you have two sides to it. You have the front, like we said, is pretty much just marketing and trying to sell the product.
Right, on the front, you'll see things like no sugar added, low fat, 0 calories.
Absolutely. These things are deceivers. Be careful. When it comes to like low or no or high fiber, high protein, what does that even mean? It doesn't really mean anything until you flip it over and you can see for yourself what that means. Certainly look at the back. Every single time that you make a decision based on the front, look at the back.
Right. So when something catches your eyes on the front, just say, I'm not going to believe that. I'm going to look at the back. So looking at the back, what's the first thing?
Well, looking at the back, I think understanding the first thing you're probably going to see, or if you look at it from top to bottom, first thing you're going to see is probably the serving size.
Right, calories per serving and serving size.
Yeah, and that can be very misleading. If you see something that has, 50 calories, it says 50 calories on it, well, then it also says it has 5 servings in it. So if you go to eat that bag of chips, you're thinking, oh, I just had 50 calories, no big deal. But you have to multiply that number by 5 to get the total number of calories in that container.
Absolutely. And that's where it, again, is so individualized, serving sizes, and even sometimes the calories are wrong. Like, I've looked at back of packages and I do the math myself and I'm like, that's not the right amount of calories.
Yeah, and I kind of talked about that before on the pump station. We did a little show on that and how you can calculate the calories. And a simple thing that we can do is multiply the carbs by 4, the protein by 4, and the fats by 9, and add those numbers up, and you'll get the real total calories. And the reason sometimes you'll find that it's off by 5 or 7. Probably not more than 5 usually, but sometimes it is due to the rounding, how the standardization of the rounding goes. So if it's less than 100 calories, they round to the nearest 5. If it's more than 100 calories, they round to the nearest 10. And that's why you'll see, something that says 180 calories instead of 184, even 185, which is also kind of a nice square round number, but it's just rounded to the nearest 10 calories. So if we're looking at the back of the label again on the nutrition facts, the next thing we're probably going to see is the macronutrients, and those are what we just talked about, the fats, the carbs, and the proteins. And, once again, be careful of the serving size, because if something says it has, 2 grams of fat or 20 grams of carbs, those numbers that you see are only reflective and true if you eat a specific amount that matches that serving.
Right. And serving size isn't necessarily the size you should eat.
Absolutely. I mean, who sits down and eats 8 chips? I mean, let's be honest. If you're eating some chips, you're diving all in. You're eating at least a quarter of that bag.
Or like 3 Starburst.
Exactly, yeah. And they try to kind of make it tricky on you by saying like 28 grams. Like, who in the heck knows how many 28 grams worth of anything is? Well, unless you have a scale.
Right. And because low calorie is so in right now, you'll see low calorie, but an abundance of servings. So, like, if you actually have the amount that will probably fill you up, you're probably going to be more in the, I don't want to say higher calorie, but just not that low calorie classification that they're trying to trick you into thinking it is.
And so that's kind of the deal with the macronutrients. Just be careful Be wary of the serving size, and be wary also of the percentages. And this is a really important thing. If something says it has 8% of your daily value, understand that only means 8% of a standard daily value based on 2,000 calorie diet, based on a specific ratio of carbs to fats to proteins. So if you're completely different, those percentages don't even apply to you. So don't always go by percentages. Go by the strict numbers.
Yeah, I would honestly, for the common consumer, understand maybe the daily value, but if you're not using MyFitnessPal or something on it, like those daily values probably aren't representative of your calories and what you need.
And then another thing that's going to be seen on the nutrition label is the micronutrients. And what are micronutrients?
Micronutrients are your vitamins and minerals that you're getting from foods. So vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin K, vitamin C, etc.
Yes, so many vitamins and minerals out there that really are important in how we function. The thing we need to think about more are those macronutrients. Understand that there are some vitamins and minerals that you don't want to overdo. So be careful of those. Be careful that you're not getting too much of a certain vitamin. You can have some adverse effects. Simply understanding for the purpose of this episode that vitamins and minerals are always going to be better coming from food.
Absolutely. It's easier for our body to break it down that way.
And then once we move on to the next stage, that we'll typically see some ingredients, and that's another huge thing to think about.
This is another area, the ingredients, that you want to look at when you make a choice based off the front of the no sugar added, low fat, low whatever. Look and see what the ingredients are that are allowing it to be classified as those things. You know, sometimes it is more expensive to choose the better and more nutrient-dense foods.
Yes.
But even just maybe choose 2 to 3 things you're buying and choose that better option.
Yes. And for most people out there, it's not a big deal to spend $10 more at the grocery store to get those better options. When I say $10 more, that's not a complete changeover, but that's, like you said, getting 2 to 3 different things per time and seeing what works better for you, maybe stocking up on a few things. And most people, spending an extra $40 a month at the grocery isn't a big deal. You just cut it out maybe of another thing you're doing, such as going out to eat. Fast
food, right.
So keep that in mind, that it can be expensive to eat healthier, as most people say and know, but you can do it on a smaller scale to begin and kind of stock up on those healthier items and use them as you need them and make that slow transition.
And to that, I say, is it more expensive or is it less convenient?
Yes. I think it's also less expensive in the long haul.
I agree. Continue with next fact.
So, I think we should transition real quick to the front of the packaging and talk about the misconceptions. And I give credit where credit is due on this. I was researching for this podcast, and I came across an article that had some great misconceptions. And so thank you to that article, and I'll credit in the description. So if you're out there giving you credit where credit is due, great work. And I wanted to share the knowledge. So the misconceptions, and I thought these were really, really good, that can be on the front of a package. And I think one of the most important ones to remember is the low fat misconception. Low fat just basically means you're taking out the fat, some of the fat. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're taking out X amount of grams of fat. So what benefit are you really getting, and how are they adding that flavor back in?
And something else I semi-recently learned about fats and just kind of how they're listed in ingredients. If something says like 0 grams trans fat, look and see if there's hydrogenated oil, because they figure out how to reword these things, you all. Like, it's just so insane how easy it is to get away with basically just renaming what it is.
And another one, huge nowadays especially, is all natural.
Oh, yeah.
What does that even mean? What do you think it means?
I think it means it's healthy.
That was not a duck. That was a neck sound. Anyway, so all natural basically just means that they want to say it is. There is no USDA guidelines on what makes something all natural. And if you do find something that is truly all natural, it's certainly probably going to be a better option in specific situations. But make sure what you're reading on a label that says all natural actually matches up to the real facts of it being all natural.
Right. So if you are more into the more natural, do some research. Spend some time researching what that really means.
Another one of the misconceptions we're going to talk about here, the last one, and you just kind of brought it up, is organic. It's huge nowadays. Organic is kind of another one of those buzzwords, and it can be a good thing if it's in the right context, but it can also be a very marketable word to sell more of a specific product that may actually have some organic features and benefits, but it's still an unhealthy product.
I had one of my friends one time send me some granola bars she got from Trader Joe's, and she was like, "Look, Holly, I found these really healthy organic bars at Trader Joe's." And I was looking at the back, and it was no different than any other bar besides the fact that it was organic. It still had all the sugar, still had all the carbs, all that, and all the artificial sweeteners. It's just, organic doesn't mean it's better.
So here's what organic means as defined by the USDA. It is a product that relies on natural, there's kind of the all natural coming back into everything, substances and physical, mechanical, or biologically based farming methods to the fullest extent possible. So that's it. It doesn't say anywhere in there. Organic means healthy. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. And
big misconception.
And a misconception I kind of want to draw in, I talk about this a lot on my Instagram, mainly because it's praised, but anyways, okay, I'll just jump into it. Is no sugar added. You see this a lot in things like creamer, or a lot of the, let's just call it sparkling waters. It'll say no sugar. But if you look at the ingredients, there are technically no sugars added, but there's artificial sweeteners. And artificial sweeteners, they're not bad for you, but they were not intended. The purpose of them being made was not to add them to your coffee and to do all of this necessarily for the common person. They were actually made for people with diabetes, because their chemical makeup is different, so they're better for people with diabetes and the blood sugar. And artificial sweeteners can affect your digestion, can affect your brain. I don't want to say they're going to make you sick, but your memory type of brain and your function. And they also alter your sense of sweet because they're so much sweeter than our natural sugars.
And actually, the added sugar is the most recent update to the nutrition label, because it has become such a big deal, especially in the last couple years and stuff. And before that, the biggest deal was trans fats, and that was added to the label as well. So you can kind of see that as something gets added to our nutrition label in culture, it's kind of becoming important. It's becoming something that we need to be wary of as far as, the marketing side goes.
Basically, just being an informed consumer is the best thing that you could do as a consumer.
Use the nutrition label as a tool for your advantage, and not something that can manipulate you into buying something, or, thinking that something's healthy when it's not as healthy as it seems to be. So keep all these things in mind. And go out there next time you go to the grocery, start looking at some food labels and just get familiar with reading them and understanding them, and kind of calling out the package as far as something that says low or no, and really looking at the back and saying, well, that was kind of a lie.
Call them out. Let them know.
Call them out.
Let them know you know their secrets.
Yes. Definitely reach out to us on Instagram at daniel.personaltraining.
And Holly with 2 Y's Voles.
And we'll certainly get back with you. And if you have any topics you want to hear us talk about or ramble on about, let us know, and we'll get it to you.
ASAP pronto.
ASAP Pronto. There we go. You heard it here first on the Weight Room. And until next time, remember, subscribe to the podcast.
Leave a review.
Leave a rating. And also, you can find us on Spotify, on YouTube, and anywhere else you can get podcasts. So keep that in mind as well, because there's a lot of people out there who don't use Apple Podcasts, who don't use whatever, but we're pretty much anywhere. So look us up. Just search The Weight Room. You'll find our logo, and then click on it probably and hit subscribe. Just support the show. And we'll be glad to keep sending some more awesome stuff your way.
Absolutely.
So thanks for listening, and have a great day.